What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 598. I am your host, Steve V, alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm really well. How are you?
Really good. Thank you so much. And joining us, of course, as always, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well this evening. Lovely to hear your voices this evening.
Yes, and like I said, episode 598, fastly approaching a week from now, 600, and we've got some surprises where you don't want to miss next week's episode. I'm going to be talking to each and every host separately and really doing a deep dive interview, and you don't want to miss it, so stay tuned for that. Also, this week on our Patreon, we have an extra episode dropping, things you won't hear, things I talk to the hosts about separately. That is an extra episode for our Patreon listeners, and you can get that episode. It drops tomorrow by going to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. Don't forget, when you grab a tier, you'll get that, but you can also get free content as well, as I'm starting to put a lot of behind the scenes content and a lot of fun stuff. So even if you don't want to get this now or get a lot of our extra special sexy perks, you can get free content behind the scenes. So either way, patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. And let's get into it because so much happened over the weekend. And there is a porn star, more like a OnlyFans star. I mean, he has over 1 million followers, so I don't think he needs to do porn. You'll know in a second, listeners, or at least my co-host, because I put it in our feed. Monster Cock OnlyFans star Diego Barros was arrested for public sex on the dance floor in a Texas nightclub. What do I mean by that? Well, this happened over a month ago, but he turned himself in last Friday. Essentially, he was doing what a lot of people do, is performing at a nightclub in Texas, and apparently he's known for letting a lot of guys suck his cock when he's performing. And I put his feed in your thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's like a huge ass dick when it's flaccid. I mean, it almost looks bigger flaccid than it does hard, right?
Yeah.
It's
insane.
Yeah. So he was performing, he was dancing, and essentially they arrested him because of him having sex on the dance floor. Like I said, he's done this before, but one of the arrested men alongside him was charged with public lewdness, while the other two, Mark Anthony Watts and Alvaro Costilla, were charged with the promotion of prostitution and tampering with evidence. And what do we mean by that? Probably it wasn't prostitution in the way we normally think about it. It could have just been tipping and then somebody going down on him. He was held, so he turned himself in because he probably doesn't want a record. He was released the next day on a $4,000 bond, but
Yikes.
Hopefully I know who wants to pay that, but who also wants to stay in jail? I guess authorities, some bitchy queen decided to film it and turn it in because the news in Texas covered it as well. I mean, the crazy thing about all this is that, and by the way, he's coming back to New York, so he's very, very rarely speaks to his audience on Twitter other than to put videos up there on what you can expect to see. He mentioned on Twitter that he's okay and he's heading back to New York. I will look out for him in New York City, mind you.
You and me both. We gotta get some binoculars or something.
Lord have mercy. You don't need binoculars for that.
You don't need binoculars for that. I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com because you all need to see this and see what I'm talking about. But I don't know, Jeremy. It's crazy because we all know clubs where this happens, circuit parties where guys are. I think just yesterday, a friend of mine was showing me a video of him in Barcelona at the infamous Circuit Fest. And he showed me a guy with a huge heart on dancing right in his face. I've been to parties before where I've seen sex happen on stage. Do you think it's Texas law, some bitchy queen that needed to turn him in? I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm not really that surprised because he does like this for a living and everything. But I just can't believe that he could easily like have that out and about on the dance floor. And I also am surprised that it's like in a small town of McAllen, Texas.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of the key factor here, Kodi. Also,
Like, I wonder what brought him there and how he ended up at that specific location.
Well, if you look at that link I sent you, he was promoted as the talent coming there. So there's a $5 cover.
Oh, okay. So he was like the attraction for the night.
He was,
okay.
Yeah. And that's how another way that many of these OnlyFans creators make more money is they go on location and they probably pay him a hefty amount. He makes all the tips. He knows he's probably going to make a lot more money.
And the other thing I'm wondering is, what do you wear to hide that? Like,
people don't want to see him hide it.
You would need like a full-on like sweatpants to cover it, really.
Gray sweatpants at that, for sure.
I mean, even with shorts on, like short shorts, that would just hang out of the side.
He needs a circus tent. That's what he needs to hide that thing.
It's another arm is what we're talking about. If you think that we're flabbergasted by this, you're right. We are. But Kodi, I mean, do you think it's the arrest and him having to actually turn himself in had to do more with the small town aspect? Because like I mentioned before, there are places where shows like this happen all the time. Private clubs often, places that I think security is on top of. You're not going to get in trouble. I myself have gone to porn awards, specific porn awards before, where I was taking a picture with a porn star and decided to suck his cock, but I didn't get arrested, nor did the porn star. It was in New York City. Was it the nature of the city, the small town, and somebody turned him in that probably landed him in jail?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me. I feel like this is his gig. He goes all around the world and does this. I've seen videos of him on stage with people just, sucking his dick one after the other. This is what he does. So for them to book him in McAllen and for them to accept him, they knew what he was going to do when he got on that stage or when he got on the dance floor, and still some people, conservatives or whomever, they decided that this was what they were going to be the course of action for them as far as he is concerned. I looked at McAllen too, and it's like, I feel like it's right on the border from what I can see. So I don't know. It's deep in the heart of Texas, and I would be very wary to be doing that type of thing there.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of, for those that want to go to see him, and for him in particular, he's probably going to be a lot more careful on the venues he chooses, because I know if he had gone to, say, like the Circuit Fest in Barcelona, it would be no problem. And if he went to other parts of the country where it's not that big of a deal, people wouldn't care. But he's probably going to be, if he has a management company, he's going to be a little bit harder on them, taking a percentage out of them to pay for his bond and so forth. I mean, now he has to go to court for all this, allegedly. And some of the comments were funny, though. Somebody said, gay clubs and spaces in general have become so sanitized in the U.S. in order to appeal to cis hetero patrons. And then it has, from Sex and the City, I forget her name, but she said, whatever happened to fun is the meme, which is hilarious. And somebody said, my younger day, of course. Today, maybe I'd hold it for a few. I would have to do it. I need to at least feel the weight and girth of it just for a few seconds. I mean, he needs to really, I think, plan and check out where he's going to perform next, because people are going to want to suck on that thing. And it's just, yeah.
The videos are so hot too. look at them and I'm like, whew, that to be in that audience would be amazing. So that's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, also over the weekend, Lil Nas X, who we love and talk about on this show, says that he's quote unquote, his words, starting over and firing his team. You'll recall earlier this year, he released his last single, J Christ. It only debuted at number 69. I remember, Kodi, you and I talking about the single because it was so lavish and so
Mhm.
expensive looking and really had a lot of imagery about Christ and kind of playing off a lot of his last videos and really pushing those boundaries. Well, it didn't do that well on the Hot 100. He even scrapped the rollout of the album. He released a lot of it only on SoundCloud. And quote unquote, he says, God, after giving me Industry Baby as the last song of my 3-year hit song streak, is what he put. He is now enjoying his last 30 he only has 30 minutes of fame left. He's in New York, actually, looking very boyish on the streets, if you will. I put it in so you could kind of know. And after the video plays, the nostalgic music from Mean Girls while the rapper walks down the street, me after firing my entire team and moving to New York just so I could cosplay as a struggling underground artist who's about to have their big break and has no idea. There's some truth to this. I mean, he went on later to say in a more serious message, stop trying to cling on to what was so you can become the next version of you, he concluded. I haven't had my next big thing yet, but I know it's coming. Kodi, when you hear this, for somebody that was so big and with huge singles only to be starting over, what do you think about this?
I don't think he's starting over. That's I think that's,
It's his
him
words.
just yeah, well, I think he's trolling the audience, basically. He's Little Nas X still no matter what. So I feel like him doing this is his way of garnering more attention. It's been his MO for the longest time, and I think it's brilliant. I think he is a great, at social media and promoting himself, and I think that this is if he's starting over, people have done it so many more times, and that this he can come back from, and he can be even bigger because again, he still has his name that he can catapult from.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, Jeremy, I watched his documentary a few months ago, Little Nas X, Long Live Montero. I think I talked about it on this show. It was really good. It really gave a good insight into how he came about and how not just he, but his team and the people he surrounded himself around pushed him to accept his gayness, to almost push the boundaries of gender conforming boundaries and to really go out there, and he did. And was it do you think he went with that a little bit too much and it just wasn't sustainable?
I don't know because I kind of feel like it was the music itself. I think in my opinion, I haven't found like this song very catchy and some of the other recent ones, and I really liked all of the ones that he started with originally. And I think the visuals are always amazing and on point, and I think the songs themselves haven't been like that great as of late, but I think that he can definitely bounce back. And I think uh, as artists do, they sometimes have flops and then just come out with something that's amazing after taking time away or just hiring new creative people as a team and trying to recreate like the image and maybe come out with just something that's, I don't know, more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. At the end of the day, I think it really comes down to the music, the spectacle, the videos, the costumes, the red carpets are all flashy and amazing.
Hmm.
But if what you're putting out there, music in his case, is not living up to what we liked about you before, and not even, okay, well, they're going in a different direction, I mean, Lauryn Hill comes to mind, where she was such a huge success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she went in a different direction, like folk music, and nobody really wanted to go along with her. But he was actually going on this same journey of really pushing the boundaries, and I don't think it really worked. You do really learn a lot with him in that Long Live Montero. I think it's really interesting in this video that I sent you guys. He's really stripped down. He looks really boyish. And I think you're right to agree with both of you. He, if anybody, could probably turn this around and come back strong. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's going to be, or I think it should be a little bit more stripped down and not so pushing the boundaries so much, like shoving it down everyone's throat, because we've seen you can do that. Now let's get back to the music, perhaps.
And I also think maybe taking some of the focus off of religious characters might
Yes.
help the image as well, just because I think it's definitely a touchy subject, not for me specifically, but as a mainstream artist and as big as he is, I think it may help the image as well to focus on a different version of himself and less of the devil and Jesus and all of that.
I couldn't agree more. I think that that is probably what has disassociated him from his followers, his fans right now. I think him leaning into that, even though other artists have done it, like think Kanye West, Madonna, and they've done it successfully. I feel like him doing it as a gay man, it was just like a hair too far for everybody.
Hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree, but we wish him well, and we are looking out for him in New York as well, and seeing
Get the
maybe
binoculars out.
him and Diego will get together and have some fun, which would be really hot to watch. Okay, there is a trend, and I couldn't help but talk about it. I put it in your feed, but there is a trend out there right now. I couldn't even believe it, but we have Jeremy on this episode, and we had to really get his take on it. People are a little bit angry and annoyed at Gen Z because apparently there's this TikTok trend of taking photos of your airport trays as you're going through security, but not just taking pictures of it, really curating the way you place your items in the bin. And I just think it's so ridiculous because some of these people, just to give you guys a visual, listeners, but I'll put it on TAGSPodcast.com, episode 598, is a pair of red sandals with a book by James Baldwin, Another Country. Right above the book is a pair of glass sunglasses, obviously going somewhere warm, a red hat to match the sandals. I'm sure there's some significance to the G on the hat. Then there is another, I guess it's an Ireland passport. Somebody also did one in all blush shades, rose shades, where everything in the bin was a subtle shade of rose. And they take these pictures. Well, why is it bothering people so much? Because it's holding up the line, and everybody just needs to get to their plane. And I think about first of all, this doesn't make sense to me at all for so many reasons, because I have global entry now and TSA pre-check. So you don't even have to put your shoes in the bin when you have global entry and TSA pre-check and all this shit. You don't have to put in there. They're like, nope, just keep going through. So I don't know why you're putting all these like high expensive products in the bin when you don't really have to. It's all for show. It seems ridiculous. I just want to get to my plane. I have usually a hat over my head, glasses, all black, don't talk to me, and I throw everything in like it's, trash practically, and then I just scurry off. Like, don't talk to me, don't even look at me. Jeremy, we got to ask you, are you about this trend or no?
I'm totally 50-50 right down the middle.
Oh my God.
So the fashion lover in me loves all of this like matching thing and loving to see what people are actually carrying with them at the airport and secretly taking tips and pointers from like the sunblock that they carry and the chapstick and all of that stuff. But the other part of me, the traveler part, would be like, can you hurry up, please? Like, this is ridiculous. So I would say, if you are an influencer doing this, just buy one of those fucking buckets and do it at home
That's what I was going to
before
say.
you go to the airport, because it would be obnoxious if you're holding up a huge line for this. And I also have TSA pre-check, and so I love the fact of like rushing through and not having to. I almost always wear a hat, especially traveling, and love the fact that you don't have to take the hat off, you don't have to take the shoes off, and all of that. But yeah, I kind of love it and hate it at the same time. It's cute, but I think it really only works for like influencers or people that are like trying to get grabs at their like Amazon storefront to give you ideas of what to buy. But a part of me is interested in what people actually travel with, and some of these collections are cute that they're carrying with them.
The funny thing is, like, I haven't seen many with the actual things that you normally have to put in there, like a laptop or an iPad. It's like apparently everyone's not on their computers,
Or your dildo.
Well, there's that,
and it's all the things that they don't make you take out of your bag, obviously, because you don't need to put a brush and a chapstick or
and
like,
a book.
Yeah,
a book. Yeah,
like, bitch, really?
Somebody was saying, Kodi, that you could also, if you really want to do this trend, wait till you're after. You know, you could pull it to the side afterwards after you've gotten through, and then get a tray. There's always a table free whenever and do it over there and shoot your little thing. But I don't know, Kodi, is this a yay or a nay?
It's definitely a nay, because if I was in the line, I would be going ballistic over there if they were holding up the line to take this little picture. I'm super impatient when it comes to being in lines already. I was on the train today and we were delayed 5 minutes. I was losing my shit. I could not do anything. I was like, if these people don't get away from me, I'm going to start screaming. It was just ridiculous to me. So anyway, that being said, if this happened while I was in the line for the airport, it would not go well for that person. I would tell them that they need to, like you said, take it to the back or get one of those bins and do it at home. But this line is for us to make sure we're safe and secure to get to our planes and our destinations.
By the way, little sidebar notes, they pointed out also that those bins are probably the most, they have the most germs ever.
Oh, yeah, they're like freaking filthy, especially with shoes in them.
Yeah, so, right, and everybody, and so here you are trying to be cute. They are selling those bins, though, in like light pastel colors that you can get, and you can do this at home. So FYI, if you really want to do this trend, I say get your own bin, do it at home.
Wash your bin.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a TikTok trend because I like to carry certain things like, you know, I have a little mini toothbrush because like when I was getting off the plane recently, my boyfriend was going to pick me up at the airport. I hear it all. But, and I knew, and I was on this long layover flight from Mexico, and I had this mini toothbrush. So I went and brushed my teeth really quickly. And I have all these little things in there that I'll just, you know, that would be helpful on what to
I'll
pack.
never forget when our mutual friend said that he was traveling with Lady Gaga, referring to you with your big black sunglasses on and your scarf all wrapped up.
Always wrapped, neck is always wrapped, and yeah,
you got to. You don't want to get sick on that plane. That's
exactly.
a no-no.
Oh my gosh! So from Diego Barros with that monster to a recent thread that was actually really refreshing. We love Diego Barros, but no size queens here. Gays are giving a huge morale boost to their less endowed men. And this was on a recent subreddit, Ask Gay Men. They wrote, okay, so I'm like a big and tall guy. I'm moderately good looking, but my junk isn't that large. They wrote, why? How do I cope with this? It's problematic for my sex life in that people want me to be the top, but I just don't have the equipment for it. Porn is making everyone look huge. Diego. I'm more of a bottom anyways, but damn, I'm nervous to go to a nude beach because when I'm not hard, it just disappears. Awkward as fuck. Well, you would,
Disappears.
I think that's really honest. And what he got out of it was some really beautiful comments. Like, small dicks are nice too, one person wrote. Some said that small dicks on big tops are so perfect. Somebody said, I used to date a 6'5" with a 4-inch cock, and I loved his cock. Somebody else wrote, small dicks are my favorite, and I know I'm not the only one. Flaunt it. And then others said most men couldn't care less about size, adding that they're more concerned with the man it's attached to. And I think this is really positive. And I think, yes, we're all intrigued and by Diego and that. I mean, it's just like, my goodness, is this real? But in reality, not everyone is Diego Barros. And I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think about what this guy posted and what the people actually responded with?
I love that the people responded like kindly and nice, and I am one that really just believes that size doesn't matter, and it's more about how you use it and what you do with it. And I think also being comfortable in your own skin versus like comparing yourself to what you don't have. And I think you use what you've been given to the best of your ability. And I mean, I think it's awesome that people were nice about it.
I agree. I mean, I think in the end, everybody's not built like that, and sex can be amazing either way. I mean, Kodi, just to piggyback on this, and then I want to hear your thoughts on it. Somebody on a separate Reddit I found, and you know how I love to pair up stories.
Mhm.
Somebody said I had mind blowing sex by a slightly below average dick. I met up with a friend I'm casually gotten to know throughout the summer, and I recently went out. I just recently got out of a relationship. Long story short, I bottomed, and I can't tell if it was him as the guy that he bottomed with was 4.5 inches, but I love every bit of it. Does anybody else prefer somebody a bit more average? So when you hear all this and like, you know, talking about Diego versus people, what they're saying on this, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that it's amazing that these guys are finding affirmation by voicing their concerns on Reddit. I think that there is out there somebody for every size of penis. Somebody will always think that you're beautiful. So I always say it, and I mean it wholeheartedly. You know, there's somebody out there for everybody. Go start looking for and checking for the people that are checking for you. As far as porn skewing the dick sizes, as far as us thinking that these 7 and 8 inches and 9 and 12 inch cocks are the norm, as opposed to what is actually the norm, which is probably around 5 inches, 5 or 6 inches. That is an issue that I know has been going around, and we just have to continue to affirm our smaller than average and average size penis guys out there and let them know that they're beautiful no matter what.
They're beautiful, but also they're effective too. And I really believe that it's who they're attached to in the end. I mean, you ultimately are attracted to the person. And really, I mean, I used to consider myself a size queen. And while I am, like everybody else, like mesmerized by Diego Barros, I'm also I've had great sex with guys with smaller penises and their dicks, and it doesn't even matter because it's how they use it in the end for me. So they're beautiful, but I also think they're effective too, and they can work.
I would
Yeah.
also assume he probably has issues finding people that would be able to bottom for that.
Oh, Diego? Oh, for sure. I'm
Yes.
not
Because I
going
mean,
anywhere
I
near
think
that.
you might be like in some trouble after having that inside of you. I sound like a grandma, but I'm serious. It's like that would do some damage.
Well, the horny boys that are like meeting him on the dance floor are willing and ready. I have no doubt about it. But maybe for a more intimate relationship, perhaps, yeah, that could also be an issue too. So grass is always greener, of course. Well, Speaking of dicks, I love the actor Andrew Garfield, Academy Award winning nominated actor, and he's currently promoting his new movie We Live in Time, which looks really good. And in his press that he was recently on with his co-star, he was there's in this movie there's been a meme that's been created because it's a to really summarize it really quickly, it goes throughout time. It's him and this woman, and one of them gets struck with a um, an illness, and it's apparently going to be a tearjerker. But at one point, they're on a carousel, and they're side by side, and there's this horse, this kind of evil looking horse that I don't think was ever meant to be a part of it was it was meant to be a part of the shoot, but somebody released it. I'll put it in our feed here, and it's caused people to create these memes that are hilarious about this horse. But when they were talking about that in the press interview, somehow Andrew was going on and on about like, oh my gosh, I thought that was an interesting choice to have this like carousel horse in our picture, but could this really be? But then he's like, it's just me, and they created all these memes. Well, when he was going to look up some more of the funny memes on his phone in this press interview, he had to put his phone down because he says, oh, I can't show that, there's too many dick pics here that are going to appear on his phone. And and that is a common problem, I think, that many of us have. We all don't get, like, I feel like you, Kodi, probably have it down. You probably have them in a folder like you're supposed to do.
Bloop.
I don't even know how to create a folder for that. B, you have that screen where you can't see over someone's shoulder really, or to the side. And C, you're always on your phone anyway, so I know why you have it.
Oh my goodness. I knew you were going to stick that one in there too.
Pecker, boo.
No.
But we'll let you answer this first. Are you ever worried, like Andrew, that you don't even go there because what people might see on your phone?
Well, I am very, very good and very discreet when it comes to, I'm demure and mindful when it comes to my phone and what people see on my phone, because I do have a lot of shirtless pics, naked pics, all the pics are on my phone. So if I want to show somebody something, of course I make a folder of what I would like to show people, and that way when they're swiping, it's not in my regular camera roll, so they won't accidentally swipe and see something that they don't want to see. And again, the screen protector does wonders. Sometimes I'm on the train and I'm looking at Twitter or what have you, and of course on X. What a horrible rebrand. And I only look at porn on X, and I run into problems all the time. But with that screen protector, it works really well. As far as, I'm really protective with my phone too, so I don't let anybody see what I'm looking at. I have a way of holding it that only I can see what's on there too. So you just got to be mindful and demure.
Hilarious. I mean, I have to be careful because I have OnlyFans just for fans. I'm always editing something, a scene, a solo scene on my laptop, and I've got to be careful when I'm showing people. But then sometimes I'm doing an art project in Puerto Vallarta for the condo that my sister owns, and so I'm always going back and forth. So I've got to be really careful with some of these things, and I don't just hand the phone over because I always know, don't swipe too many times to the right because you might not see what we were talking about. But Jeremy, do you ever worry about like what people are going to see on your phone? And do you relate to Andrew Garfield?
I'm not really that worried because I don't have lots of nudes in like the midst of all of my recent photos and stuff. But if I do have them in my phone, they're usually categorized or just like Kodi said, out of the main album that people would be like scrolling through, and not like easily accessible to, like when I hand people my phone to look through photos and stuff. I'm not super worried that they're going to come across that kind of stuff.
Got it. Yeah. Be careful, everybody, on that. But let's stay on photos because Instagram is now allowing users, you can now post even more photos at once. But apparently, the gays aren't so thrilled. What am I talking about? Well, now Instagram has unveiled some new features, which you'd think would be embraced in many ways. You used to be able to put only 10 pictures in a post. Now you can go up to 20, but that's not what everyone's not happy with 20 because people are saying things like, we get it, you're in P Town. How many pictures does it take to show you in a Speedo? And there's some other things that they're putting in the new things. So like in stories, now you can actually you can use public comments on stories, which a lot of people aren't for. I like that idea. Words over posts or on their grid is another thing that is being allowed. But like I said, the photo dump of 20 from 10 is rubbing people along the wrong way. Somebody said multiple Fire Island photo dumps in one summer. Let's regroup. Increasing the photo limit to 20, adding songs to every kind of post. I can't handle anything else. Somebody went on to say, I went to the Madonna Academy of Instagram, and so I will be making use of the 20 image carousel. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness.
I myself don't have a problem with this because I feel like if you go to a specific place, like I was looking at Gus Kensworthy's Instagram today, and he was just in Burning Man. He had a different outfit that looked like he was in, what's that Tina Turner movie back in the day that's in the desert?
Thunderdome?
Yes, Beyond Thunderdome. He looked like he and his friends were making their own movie of the gay Beyond Thunderdome movie. And I just couldn't get enough of it. I think when you like something, to me, you want more. I don't know, Jeremy, what's your thoughts on the increase to 20?
I think that it's a little extra, and I think that you should break up your posts and maybe do like 5 or 10 at a time rather than all 20 at once. But for me, it doesn't bother me a lot. I just will not be scrolling through 20 photos to see all of them and the individual songs and stuff. I think it's nicer when you curate your collection of photos and it's not so many.
I
20
love
is
it.
a lot.
Less is more. Well,
Yes.
Cody, you don't have to post all 20. It's just an option. And I think if you have the various different looks, post it. But are you a fan of that? Or are you more a fan of what Jeremy's saying and curate a little bit more? Is that more demure, Cody?
I agree with Jeremy wholeheartedly. He and I are on the demure train today, so I'm very pleased.
Mindful.
Right. You know what? As far as the 20 picture thing goes, I think it is a horrible idea to post 20 pictures. I don't care where you've been. I wasn't there, so I don't need to see all of those pictures. So it's not a memory for me. You need to post the 5 that you think are the best and that you think you look the greatest in, and just post those and go with that, because nobody wants to be swiping all through your Instagram post, and it's just excessive. And I'm sorry. If I wanted to see all those pictures, I would come to your house and we can look at them that way. We can do a little display, a PowerPoint display.
I'm mixed. I'm here for a little bit because I think options are always nice. I don't think it means that everybody has to do that. It's just an option if you want to. Maybe you're at an event where every day, let's just say you're at a fashion week would be amazing for this because in Paris, not so much New York, but like in certain places, if I used to go to fashion shows and you really want to post a lot of different pictures, you could go to a different fashion show within the hour. You could go to 5 more, and then tomorrow you're going to another 4. And so for that type of thing, I think it could totally work. But you're right. Just, I think, curate your travel destinations a little bit more and be a little bit more mindful. But I don't mind the options of it. I just think don't take advantage of it if it's just excessive. You got to ask yourself that question. Okay, let's give some advice. We love to on this show. And this one came on a Reddit thread and it said, am I going too far with sluttiness? Hey bros, I love it. Hey bros. I realize that I have never been sluttier in my life than I am now. I would say that almost every week I'll meet a guy or two, usually
Oh,
either on the apps or cruising saunas, clubs, or maybe but rarely real life gyms and similar. It doesn't really affect my life negatively as I am almost always protected. Yes, not always now and then I top without protection and I feel bad after it and I test. But I'm just wondering if this is healthy behavior. Also, at this point, I have no idea what my body count is, how many people I slept with. Could be anywhere between 100 and 200, maybe more. And living like this, I am not sure I'll ever find someone for something serious. I am in my mid 30s and I'm not sure if I want to be like this in 5 or 10 years. I think when you ask that question, already you don't want to live like this in 5 or 10 years. But I like that you're putting it out there. I don't know. I'll start with you, Jeremy. What do you think, and what advice would you give to? Is he going too far with his sluttiness? His words.
I don't think he's going too far. I think he's living his best life and having a moment, but I think that a moment comes to an end at a certain point. And I think that instead of thinking ahead 5 years, I think he should think about what he wants currently and be content with that. And then maybe that will evolve into something different. And then he'll be acting different and just putting feelers out there for whatever it is that he's looking for. I feel like everyone, I think it's healthy to have like a so-called hoe phase, or like just a phase that you sleep around more often than not. And that was definitely like in my 20s for me, and I'm not in that phase now, but I think it's healthy, and I don't think you need to judge yourself for going through that or being highly sexually active. And I think when it does change for what you're looking for, you'll know and you'll sense it, and it may just take meeting a certain person.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. We're not slut shaming here, and I don't think he's going too far at all. I think enjoy yourself. It's so fun and free to be sexually open and sex progressive. I mean, I myself have gone to a place here in New York where I did that for years and I enjoyed it. It was having sex on the dance floor and having sex in little corners and meeting different guys and taking people home. And I loved it. It was great. But then I changed and I really wanted to focus on meeting somebody. And I did. And now I go to the same place now. It's so funny. But now I go to be with my boyfriend. We talk to people. And it was a nice transition. And this is where I'm at now. So it is possible. And I think when you ask that question, it's healthy too. But Kodi, if you had to give advice for is he being or going too far with his sluttiness, what would you say to him?
yeah, I totally agree with you about the fact that he is questioning what his motivations are for him going out and being slutty. My assessment is probably if you are uh, asking these questions, you're probably in a good place because somebody that was too far gone wouldn't be having this type of self-evaluation going on. So I think that he is probably doing what he wants to do and he's just going through his whole phase. And I think that he should uh, you know, enjoy that and revel in that because if as long as you're having fun and it's not motivated by something else is not driving it, like sadness or anger or shame or anything like that, as long as you take your time, look at yourself and what you want out of life, and you can say, this is what I'm all about right now. I am actually a hoe and I'm enjoying my hoedom, then you're fine and be as safe as you can be at the end of the day.
Yeah, and call it whatever you want. If you're being sex progressive, sex positive at the time, and exploring different sides of yourself, that is beautiful and hot and freeing. And so, if it's hoe, if it's slutty, that's also other words you can choose. But don't beat yourself up, is I think what we're all saying. And if you want to change, which suggests that you are because you're putting this out there in a Reddit forum, then know that you can. But you need to take steps to make those changes happen. And lastly, we just want to shout out to two musical geniuses.
Me? Oh, thank you.
You're one of them. Coming soon. But two in particular right now that are really embracing the trans community. And first off, I want to just shout out to Coldplay's Chris Martin, they're currently on tour right now. And Coldplay, with their Music of the Spheres World Tour, Chris Martin made a trans fan's dream come true during their third night of performing in Dublin, Ireland. And it all started when a trans fan put up a sign that said, "Trans fan, Coldplay saved my life. It's my dream to come on stage." What did Chris Martin do? He brought them on stage to sing a song to them that was one of their favorite songs of all time. And the video is out. The song was the 2014 song Magic. And it was James, who's the trans person that asked for this, sat there and they heard it. And it's a beautiful moment. I'll post it on TAGSPodcast.com. But what an amazing thing. And Coldplay, actually, Chris Martin said, "No, you actually saved our lives too, because we wouldn't be doing this job without you, one of our fans." And so it goes both ways, and just such beautiful. I'll let you guys watch it on your own. And then lastly, one of my favorite artists of all time, the goddess herself, has a new song coming out. Who am I talking about? Sade. First new song in years will grace trans-focused album and honor her son, Isaac, who's trans. And Sade is releasing her first new song since 2018, and it's in honor of Isaac, her trans son, on the album dedicated to transgender awareness. And the song, called Young Lion, will be on the compilation album Transa, out November 22nd from the Red Hot organization. You all remember that? Red Hot Blue, Red Hot. They had all kinds of Red Hot albums. And I love that they're carrying this on, and for trans awareness. And just to hear Sade with anything come out in a million years is just amazing. So we shout out to both Coldplay and Sade as our musical geniuses that we love on Tags Podcast. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. And you can always follow my co-host. You can follow Jeremy on the gram. Follow him at J. Ross Lopez, at J. Ross Lopez on Instagram. Follow Kodi at at Mr. Maurice, at Mr. Maurice. But also, you wanted to share with people. Do you want to share it with people?
Well, I'm going to be making an Indiegogo to help with the cost of producing this new album, this new EP that's coming out. But a little bit later on, maybe this week, we'll formally announce it. Yes.
Okay, I love it. And we will announce that. But follow him at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Go to my Twitter account where you can follow and get a preview of my adult content. And right now, my Just for Fans has a discount. It's $5.99, y'all. You can get it by using the code Steve at Just for Fans. Go to my Twitter account at TAGSPodcast. And when you go to Just for Fans, put in the promo code Steve, and you'll get the discount. Or my OnlyFans is there as well. In the guys, so much fun, so much to cover.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Always.
In the meantime, continue having hot gay
sex.
Lovely.